Now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with the Game Boy Geek.
Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today we're going to be servants. Back in the day in a big mansion at a big party. We're going to be getting orders from the butler and taking the certain things to the patrons all around the mansion. However, one of us is secretly an imposter trying to poison the very people that we're serving, but they're trying to blend in. The rest of us are trying to figure out who it is. It's an interesting asymmetrical game called Amberden Affair for 3 to 6 players, plays in less than an hour. So let's take a look. I'll show you how it's played, and I'll see you on the other side. The Amberden Affair is played over 3 separate rounds. Each round, someone's going to secretly get an identity. One of you is going to be the miscreant imposter. The rest of you are going to be people that don't really matter. As long as you're not the imposter, that's fine. These are shuffled at the beginning of each round and secretly given to everybody so they know whether they're just a normal service person or whether they are the imposter. Now each of the normal servants are going to be mostly trying to complete these order cards, which will have them do things like, oh, find the general's misplaced pocket watch and bring it back to him. Whereas the imposter can be doing orders, but really what they're trying to do is they're trying to poison the governor's wife or the general or the baron, but by doing it secretly. So let's take a look at how a round works. Now here's the board set up for 4 players in the middle of the 4 people that start the round, and we're in with the butler. Everyone gets to start with one of these order cards. And as I showed you before, these order cards have you go get items and go bring items. And if you complete them, you're getting different points, 20, 30 points. This one, you're trying to retrieve a coolant paper from the desk and bring it to the baron for 20 points. Or you might go to the governor's wife has misplaced her hat. Please find it. Now the hat doesn't tell you where it is because some of the items are random in different locations each round. Some of them are actually always in the same location. There's also some special order cards that allow you to do some special things where, follow a hunch, you can inspect another player's cards, his order cards, or keep it for 10 points at the end of the round. And in this investigate, you can look at another player's item cards that they have in their hands to see if they might have poison in there, because they might be the person who's trying to poison. So at the beginning of the round, you'll see there's different item locations: desk, coat room. And over here you have the door, which corresponds with this space. The governor's wife is here. The table is here. The bar is here. And so each item spot that has cards corresponds with the space that's right in front of it. The desk is here. The coat room is here. And so you're going to those different locations to do things. Now, some of the cards, many of the cards have a specific spot. So most of the cards they start off at the table, for example, or they start at the desk or the coat room or whatever, and those get started there at the beginning of each round. But some of the cards, many of them, I think 10 of them, have a question mark. Remember that order earlier that said to get the hat? Well, the reason why it doesn't know where it is because some of these items, you won't really know where they are because they are in a different spot at the beginning of each round. And of course the poisons are also those, because you'll never know where those poisons start at the beginning of each round. So what you're going to do is take all the 10 cards that are question marks, you're going to shuffle them up and randomly put them in some of those rooms. So each of those 10 wild cards, there's 2 of those in each of these piles to start the game. You just don't know which ones are where. Now notice that these are the rooms that actually already have items in them. Where the general is empty, where the baron is empty, and where the governor's wife is empty, because those are the places that pretty much all the orders are asking you to bring things. So let's talk about how a turn works. Now each turn is going to be simultaneous. So everybody gets to simultaneously take 3 actions. And an action can be as simple as moving. That's an action. You can move up, down, left, right, or diagonal, all for 1 action. If you're in the butler's space, you can get more orders. You can get another order for an action. Now keeping in mind that the order cards, they're worth points if you get them, but if you don't complete them, they're minus 10 points. So you don't want to take too many of those if you're not going to complete them. If you're already in a location, let's say I went 1. For my second action, I can pick this up and I can look through this to try to get something that I need. Maybe there's something from my order that told me I need to get the dry martini to the bar. Now notice they're all color-coded. This has a green. This means this is going to end up going to the general, which is the green spot over here. So you're going to be doing that. Some of them will have you, Bloody Mary's going to be to the Baron because it's red, and the blue ones are going to go to the Governor's wife. So for an action, you can take a card. Boom, you put this back, but you can always look at the piles to see what's in there. And so now that's an action there. Now keep in mind, if you're not the imposter, you're trying to find out who is the person poisoning people. So when I did take these cards out, I might make a mental note if there's poison in there, and there isn't. But if there was one, later on I come back and it's gone, I may have been wanting to keep an eye on who has been there, because one of those people that was there is got to be the imposter. Let's say I started this, maybe it was like a second or third round of this, second or third turn of this round, and I'm purple. Let's say I go 1, 2, and I'm dropping off something to the governor's wife into that pile. When I pick this pile up, I get to see what's in it before I drop things off. I could also, if I wasn't dropping anything off, but I was suspicious that somebody just dropped something off here, I can also just take the pile and look at it. So for example, someone brought this nice food to the governor's wife, someone brought a telegram. Ooh, but somebody poisoned the governor's wife. So I would need to, hopefully I was keeping an eye on which people had gone there. And I could try to narrow it down as to which one is the imposter. After everybody has taken their 3 actions, you can, if you want, place a rumor token. Now, a rumor token is basically, you put it out there when you think you have an idea of who the imposter is. So let's say the yellow player and the red player both play a rumor token. You can play one of those at the end of each little turn of the round. Also, at the end of each turn, someone is designated as the timer, and this is going down. So again, that's the end of one sort of turn of this round. Now let's talk a little bit more of the actions, then we'll talk about how the round ends. So again, for the actions, you're either moving, diagonal, up, down, left, right. Every spot is one action. If you're in a spot, you can either look at a card, look at a pile. You can, if it's from one of the normal locations, you can take a card. If it's from one of the 3 spots, like the governor's wife, the general, or the baron, where things are being deposited, you can't take things out of them, but you can look in those piles, or you can drop things off there. Either one of those is just one action. So you're going around, you're moving, you're picking up things, you're dropping them off at different spots. Each of those is an action, and the last action thing you can do is go to, if you're in the butler spot, you can get another order. Those are pretty much all the actions you can take on your turn. And then, as we mentioned earlier, at the end of that, some people are going to be throwing some rumor tokens, and the timer is going to go off. And this brings me to the end of a round. Talking about the end of a round. The round ends in one of 2 ways. If all 10 of these, basically 10 turns happens, and it has not ended because of enough rumors, the round ends and we go to scoring, and nobody can try to guess who the imposter is. The imposter has gotten away scot-free. We'll talk about scoring here in a minute. The other way the round can end is by rumor tokens. So in a 4-player game, as soon as there's 9 rumor tokens, the round will stop. There could be probably many turns still left here, but as soon as 9 hits with 4 players, it stops and we go to an accusation phase before we score. Now let's say the round ended because someone put the 9th token on there. Just the people, the colors that have placed rumor tokens, will get to accuse who the imposters to try to get some points. They would essentially write secretly on a piece of paper, face down, and put it face down as to who they think the imposter is. Then, once that's done, everybody flips over those pieces of paper that have the different names and who they think the imposter is. And then we also look at who really is who, and then we go to scoring. Now, for anyone that's not the imposter, you get the points on your order, assuming that you've gotten them done. For anyone you didn't, it's -10. So I would have gotten 30 points if I got this one done. I would have gotten 20 points if I got this one done, and 30 points if I got this one done. If you have an item card as the gold coin, and you have this at the end, it's plus 25 points. And also these investigate cards, if I didn't use this, it would have been worth 10 points at the end. If I had used it, it would have been out of my hand and worth nothing. Now, to the imposter. If the imposter did not poison anybody, they get no points for any completed orders that they may have completed. However, if they've poisoned at least one person, they're going to get all the points completed by any orders, plus 40, 90, or 150 points, depending if they've poisoned 1, 2, or 3 people. Then, of course, the points from the accusation phase. If we go to the accusation phase because the rumor tokens caused the round to stop, we have a different amount of points depending on what happened. So, for every person, every normal servant that called a footman, every correct guess, they have the number of rumor tokens played times 20. So if the yellow player had played 3 rumor tokens, it'd be 20, 40, 60. 60 points they would have gotten for guessing. If they got it incorrect, it's that many tokens times -10. So they would have gotten -30 if they were right, if they had played 3 rumor tokens, or 60 points if they were, 60 points if they were right, and -30 if they were wrong. Now, The imposter doesn't do any accusations. Now, the imposter receives a minus 20 points times the number of correct votes. So if 3 players, if all the other 3 players guessed that he was the imposter, he'd get minus 60. But if only one person guessed, he'd get minus 20. And you would keep that on a score tab, and that would be the end of the round. Now, to set up a new round, you would set it up just like it was a new game. Everybody would be in the middle. I forgot to mention this, but everybody starts with 1 order card. You do that every round. I may have forgot to mention that earlier. Everyone's going to get the secret identity again. All these piles are going to get set up just the way it was for setup. And you're going to play 2 more rounds just like that. And whoever has the most points at the end of the game is the winner. Well, there you have the Amberden affair. I typically like deduction games. I like secret hidden role games. I like games that are sort of thematic and an hour or less and family level, but yet has some depth, and this falls into that category. I thought this was a very good game. I think it's enjoyable. It's got the right amount of tension. It's got some asymmetrical things to it. So it's really interesting because when you're the imposter and you're trying to poison people, you've got this like paranoia feeling. It's hard to explain it. When you're playing and you're putting poison where people are, and then you're watching who goes there later, and they look up the pile and they see poison, you think everybody knows that you just did it. You think everybody's watching your every move, and there's this sense of paranoia, and it's a very interesting experience to play as the imposter. Now, flip side, when you're not the imposter, you're pretty much like everyone else, and you're off and you're doing the orders and you're trying to go over here and do this, but you're trying to watch what everybody else is doing. So if you do see a pile of poison, can you remember who was there? Or if you went to a pile earlier and there's not poison there, but then later on you go to an order and you go there and now there's poison, who is there in between? It's very interesting. Then the table talk of trying to figure out who has rumor. People throw rumor tokens down. Is the information sharing there good? They need to get enough rumor tokens out to end the game that way so you can have an accusation so they can get who they know is right. But they're probably going to lie because if they tell you who it is, then you're going to get the points too. And so there's that interesting dynamic of this game will play differently with every group. Some groups won't talk at all, and it's okay. The game's still fun. Some groups will talk a lot and throw each other off, and that's even more fun. So overall, I've got to say that this is a pretty unique game. It's unlike anything I have in my collection. It's just different. It's refreshingly new. It's a small publisher, 2-penny games, but don't overlook this one. If you like sort of hidden role stuff, and you like the sort of murder mystery, and you like, it does have a little bit of, obviously, a memory element if you're watching where people are going. But if you like that intrigue style game, kind of like Clue meets, I don't even know what, it's just fun. The Amberden affair is one to check out. Now, 3 players, I probably wouldn't recommend it with 3 because when you're not the imposter, it's only a 50-50 choice as to who it is. And you may just throw the rumor tokens down and hope 50% you'll get it because you'll multiply those points. 4 players is even enough that you know it opens up the odds enough that you're probably not going to do that, and there's a little more interaction. So 4, 5, and 6, I recommend it. 3, not so much. But Amberden Affair, a lot of fun, different, unique. If you like this style game, you're going to want to check it out.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.